So all these objects which Salesforce offers you is through a license called platform. That means it is basically the framework through which you can create your apps. So App Cloud is also called. So the App Cloud or platform license is the same thing. Apart from that, for salespeople, you need leads, you need opportunities, and that product is called Sales Cloud. So this was the sales journey, and Salesforce product was Sales Cloud. But after the sales is been done, the product has been sold to customers, opportunity has been won, the customer relationship begins. Customer relationship does not end. So now the salesperson basically hands over the job to service representatives. Who are service representatives? Think about, you have a Vodafone or a Airtel line, and if you are facing any problem, what do? You call the customer care, right? This customer care is basically service representative. He's sitting there. He wants to solve your problems. What is the problems? So they will create a ticket for you. They give you a ticket number and say, sir, we are working on your problem, right? The ticket is just a logging of your problems. And after that, they will update your ticket. You automatically get some SMS, and that lets you know that your case or ticket has been taken care of, right? So that is the job of a service representative. That means after sales service, that means keeping the customer happy. So any problems which customer is facing for the purchase products, or any warranty services he needs, or maybe installations, or anything related to any FAQs, all these kind of things, frequently asked questions, FAQs, all the problems which customer after the purchasing of the product, you have to make your customer happy. Why you have to make your customer happy? Because if your customer is loyal and is happy, it will make the customer loyal. When customer is loyal, you can sell more products to him, right? So upsell, cross-sell. So these are the things you can sell more products or other products, right? So upsell and cross-sell are basically the existing customers can go for your, so it's a repeat business for you. So it is very important for you to maintain customer relationship after sales. One-time sell is not how you can grow your business, right? So you have to make sure that your customers who have made purchases are very satisfied with your product. And if they're facing any problem, it is your responsibility to take care of that. And that is where sales representative's job begins. So how can a customer reach out to you? So customer can reach out to you. When we say you means the seller, right? Seller is the person who has purchased Salesforce, isn't it? So you are just an employee of a seller. You are the admin of the seller, or a sales representative, or a service representative. Yeah. So and the customer is the person who has purchased the product. So how can a customer reach out to a seller? There can be multiple channels. One, they can call you, right? There can be a customer care number, usually, where people call, right? The most frequently used channel. Then they can mail you. They can fill up a form in website. Right? Nowadays, there are more things. Nowadays, we have WhatsApp. Through WhatsApp also, people are reaching out to people, to customers. So all these are channels. Sometimes now we are going to FB page, Facebook page also, and we are at mentioning. And then also from Facebook also, the service representatives are solving problems for people, right? So there are many channels of communication. Yeah. So we will concentrate on these three first. These are the basic channels. Rest is advanced channels. We will not discuss about advanced channels. So how is the basic channel taken care of in Salesforce Service Cloud? So Salesforce has a product for service representatives, which is called Service Cloud. What is the core object for this product? It's a case object. Please remember, case object is also part of Sales Cloud. But when you purchase the product called Service Cloud, in that case, you get a lot of additional features and functionalities on top of case. But let's get into the basics. We don't care about Service Cloud, or we will talk about case management. Case. What is a case object? Case is a standard object. Case has a lookup with account and contact. Both. There are two lookup fields. Okay. There is another lookup field, which is the case itself. So it's a self lookup is also there. That means a case can refer to itself. To how can it is done? So account means account lookup will identify this belongs to which company, right? Which customer company. Contact says that who is the person who called you or mailed you, right? That is a contact. So these are very critical information by which we understand this case belongs to which customer, right? So there can be multiple employees for a customer. So which person called you, that is stored in contact lookup. And this is the which company, right? This is stored in account. What is this case? This case is basically called parent case. It might so happen that the same problem is faced by multiple people working in this organization, right? So many people like contact 1 raised a case, contact 2 raised a case, contact 3 raised a case. So all are basically the same issues. In that case, probably you will create a technical case, and you will point that technical case as parent case for everything. So you will only work with on one case, one technical case. And when this is resolved, then all these child cases will also be resolved, right? That can be the reason why we have. So 3 lookups, very important: account lookup, contact lookup, and parent case lookup, which is self lookup. That means case is pointing to case. That means not the same record. A case which is pointing to another case, and the case this is pointing to becomes the parent case. It's a hierarchy similar to account. Account also has something like that. Parent account. Any questions so far? Okay. Use case can be created manually. That means by service representatives, right? When case is created manually by service representative, just like any other records, the service representative becomes the owner of that case, right? If you have OWD set to private, then basically only the service representative will be able to see that case, nobody else. So if service representative wants to have a team working on it, then either he has to change his ownership or has to add case teams so that he can add other people. Usually, so that is the way. So how can service representative get he can get a call on his phone, or on the phone on his desk. It is routed to him. In that case, he will open Salesforce and it will create a case. Case is the ticket number. When he creates a case, he can give this case number to customer so that next time they want to check the status, they call and they can directly say, I am working on this case. Can you please let me know what is the status? Or they can email, or they can put on the website also, they can fill a form. When they are emailing or in website, can we, because there is usually there would be email ID, that is a generic email ID. It's not a personal email ID. It will be like admin@vodafone.com, right? This is or customer care@vodafone.com, right? That would be the email ID which will be used by people. So that is not a generic email ID, right? So who is logging in and who is taking care of that? It is a difficult process, right? In order to make it simpler and easy, what we do is that we automate the case creation from email and website. Salesforce allows automation of email and website forms. That means when somebody emails you, automatically a case can be created when somebody fills a form in your website, automatically a case can be created. So how it is done? Salesforce has out-of-box features called email to case. You have to use this to automate emails. Another thing is web to case. This feature enables website and these two things automatically case is created because there is no person sitting there, right? Seeing the mails coming in. So we can automate the emails to case. That means the subject line becomes the case subject of the email. Then that is how it can be made. So these are two automations. When there is an automation, then we do not know whom to assign this case, right? Because both of these are coming in and we do not know whom to assign this case to. So what we naturally do is probably assign that to a queue. And there can be separate queues for separate work. There can be separate kinds of cases. Based on which kind of case this is, we can assign it to separate queues. What is a queue? Queue is just like a public group. Queues can be a collection of users, right? If you generate a queue, then there are 5 or 6 people who become owner of that case. And anybody who wants to pick up this case or starts working on it, then becomes the owner. Okay, so by default, it is assigned to a queue. So many people at a time. And then basically from the queue, somebody who wants to work on that case picks it up and becomes the owner. So we will discuss queue also. But this auto assignment, that means when the email is created or web2 case is getting created, whom are we assigning? How are we deciding which queue to assign or which person to assign? For that, Salesforce gives us some automation tools like auto assignment tool. Okay, this we will see how it is created. If auto assignment rule is not able to assign to any queues or person, in that case, it will be assigning it to default case owner. Usually default case owner is an admin. When the case is assigned, we also want to send a response to customer that his case has been assigned to somebody, right? So that customer knows that somebody is working on your case. It's an acknowledgement to the customer. For that, you have another thing called auto response rules. This is for notification to customers. Third is when a case is raised with this is a B2B business, right? One company is providing service to another company. So usually if the service is not provided on time, your customer will probably have severe implications in his side of business. Think about you have sold a machinery to a customer, and the customer basically uses that machinery to create his products. In that case, if the machinery stops working, then he will not be able to create products and probably he cannot make his deliveries. In that case, it will be a business loss for him. And that is why it is very critical that you go and solve the problem of the customer very quickly so that they are able to run their business. So what is the important part is that we define SLAs. SLAs is service level agreements. So whenever you purchase a customer will purchase your product, they will also sign a service level agreement with you. That means they will say, if there is a very severe issue, you need to solve it within 1 hour. If there is a not so severe issue, but a major issue, probably you have to solve in a day. If it is not very major issue, it's a normal issue, then you can solve in a week. So these are timelines that is agreed on the SLA. So usually your customer will come and sign a SLA with you. And if you do not meet these SLAs, your customer will drag you to court and ask for compensation. So in order for you to make sure that you are not getting dragged into court and you are not breaching SLAs for your customers, you want the case to be escalated immediately to a boss who can make sure that the SLAs breaches not happen. It so happened that your service representatives do not have power to take some decisions so that the SLAs are taken care of. In that case, his boss needs to be assigned on that case. automatic assigning to boss is done by escalation rules. So after 1 hour, if the service representative is not able to solve the case, immediately his boss is assigned to that case. So boss gets the job so that the SLAs are not breached. Any questions so far?
No, sir.
Yes. Yeah. So that is how basically we are making sure that the case management is working. So this is the whole part of case management. Let's see this in Salesforce.
So just wanted to know, like in terms of once if the case gets escalated, so the boss then it gets automatically reassigned to boss. So
Yes.
if the boss also then further move on to reassign someone else, like
he can,
another, yeah.
Then he has to manually reassign, or if it needs to be raised to another boss, then there is another escalation rule which can again further reassign that to his boss in turn.
Okay.
Got it?
Yes.
So you might have 2 levels of escalation. One level of escalation might not be enough, but that will not happen in the same time. Maybe 1 hour later, this case will be allocated to my boss. After 4 hours, it will be allocated to his boss. Right?
Okay.
I will write that way, isn't it? Case is equal to ticket. I want to make sure that you understand that. So there is no difference between a ticket and a case. You see, just like you had a sales app, you now have a service app. So in service app, you have these kinds of tabs. You see only the case tab is there, which is quite similar. Account contact case. So all closed case and open cases are there. So open cases are the cases on which we are working. Closed cases are the cases which has been already resolved. My open cases are the cases which is assigned to me. That means I am the owner, right? That is how I see my cases. So I am using a service app. Usually a service representative needs all his information in the fingertips. So this app is a little problematic for him to work because he has to jump into account. See, if I go to a case, I have how many information can I get on the screen? So I have to go and check what is the account. If I need some details about the accounts, I have to go to the account page. Then I have to go to this. Where is the account? Yeah, I have to go to the account. I have to get some details about the contact. If this contact has raised any previous case or not, I have to go there and I have to check these cases, right? So in order to get all the information in the fingertips, because I don't have time, customer is on phone, right? He's asking me questions after questions. So instead of this service, there is another version of this app. It's called Service Console, which is a little different, wherein the tabs are individual cases, okay? And all the tabs which we are seeing on the tab is just wind up here. So you can go in your all cases, and if you hit it, you see each individual tab becomes a case. So you can put one customer on hold and you can work on another customer, multiple cases at one shot. Yeah, many times you see I have to put your call on a hold, sir. They say, right? In that case, they are not wasting their time. Probably they are asking some questions to somebody. He needs to take some time. In that time, he's taking over another call from customer, right? He's also working with another case. Probably he might be working on an email related case, right? Because it's the same day have to multiply utilize. So now see, if you are on any case, you can see the case details. You can see the contact details. You can see if this parent case, this contact has raised in any case in past or not. And the whole details of that case is there. And if you need any customer feed or call logs, you can get all things here, right? So this is one page in which you get all the information that you need so that you can work on a case. So this app is far more handy for service representatives, Service Console. So usually they will not work on the service app. They will work on service console app, which is giving more information to them. You can add your sections in this page, just like anything can be done. Admin can change this console and add more information as required. Okay, any questions? Okay, so now we were talking about queues, right? Let's see, what is a queue? Here it is a queue. You can create your own queue. Think about it like my queue. You see, which queue can be used as a owner of a group of users. Public groups cannot be used for ownership, right? But you can use a queue for ownership in multiple objects. I am using it only for case now. And it can be a collection of users. It can be collection of roles, just like any public group, right? It can be a collection of public groups also. Inside public group, I can also, inside queues, I can have public groups. If I save it, it's a queue. Now what happens is that if I go to my case and I can do a change owner, I can go and change this to queue instead of my queue. Queue member case, okay. I think I have to refresh this. Now I'm getting a my queue, right? So you see, I am the, if you go to the detail, I am the case owner, but I can change this to a queue. That means a group of users now. Now a group of users has become the case owner. So not an individual person, right? So that is how it's a different case owner can now use queues. So the case is a special object wherein multiple people can be owners. They have to be part of the queue. And then probably somebody will pick that they have this case from a queue, change the owner to himself. Yeah. But these queues can be auto-assigned if basically somebody is raising an email to case. For this, you have to set up email to case. There is a thing called email to case. Here, see. Before setting up email to case, you have the support settings. In support setting, you have to assign default case owner. That is important. That means if this is the user or a queue, which is the default case owner, if there is no assignment done, in that case, all the email to case and web to case will come and this will be the owner. Please note, if any user is assigned as default case owner, you cannot deactivate that user. This is straight away a certification question. Remember that. So you have to change this person to somebody else. There only you will be able to deactivate this user. Okay, now let's go to email to case once again. Email to case are of two types. One is if you are sending the mails directly, mails is coming directly to Salesforce, then it is called on-demand email to case. And if you're using your own email server, like a Outlook server or a Gmail server, in that case, you have to set up email to case. That is behind the firewall. You have to set this up. Okay. So easier way is on-demand email to case, wherein you don't have an emailing server. Okay. Advanced topic, we are not going to configure that. Similarly, we have a web2 case also. Web2 case, if you create a web2 case, you have a web2 case HTML generator, wherein you can say which fields of case you want to capture on the form. You select these fields. You can like add more if you want. Then give your website's name, something like this. CAPTCHA, I think you are aware, CAPTCHA is required to make sure that the robot is not filling up the form. So this is the code which is getting generated, HTML code which is getting generated. And if you send this code to the website maker, they will paste this into their form, and anything which is put up in this form automatically will come and get created as case. Any questions so far? Email to case or web to case? If there are attachments, that will be also assigned to the case object. Okay. Now there is a auto not as auto assignment rules. So case assignment rules. So let's see a standard case assignment rule. If you see, there is an order 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. These are steps through which this assignment will be done. So first it will check like if the billing country is equal to, is an example. You can have your own logic, your own filters. So if this is a United States based billing country and the account is SLA Gold, then we are assigning to me or any other queue. If it is a silver customer, then I am assigning to another queue. If it is other country, then I am assigning to another queue. If it is other nation, I am assigning to another queue. So this is the way it should work. When the assignment rule fires, whenever it is able to make an assignment, immediately that rule stops for that case. Then the next of the steps will not be executed. Okay. So till it will keep on executing one step of the after till the assignment is done. If once the assignment is done, the rest of the step is not executed. If none of these steps are able to assign a case to a specific user or a queue, then the default case owner would be assigned. Any questions? You can create your own steps also. You can put your own field criteria. You say this is sort order 7. And then you can assign a user or queue to that. Clear? Auto response rule also work the same way. This is the notification to the people, like my response. Here also there is a rule criteria wherein you can give the field hours. And you can put a response criteria. You will give the name, email address from which is you're sending it, and the email template which you want to send for them to understand what is happening for the case. Okay. Third is the escalation rule. Escalation rule is very important. Your boss must be assigned a ticket. If somebody's, you see, this is how it is. Priority is high. In that case, it is assigned to somebody else, right? If like it takes a while, it takes some time, you can also choose that. You see, set business hours or use specific business hours. You can set that after some time, assign this ticket to my boss. I assign this ticket to his boss, something of that sort. So escalation rule would be used for that purpose. So that the case is, please note, auto assignment rule, escalation rule, auto assignment rule, escalation rules are basically used for web to case, email to case only. For manually, when you are creating a case, like manually, let's create a case. Here you will put the contact who called. He's account name, and you will probably give the subject, his machine working. More description if you want. His origin, either he called by a phone, email, or website. This is manually you are entering. If he has sent you a manual email or manual website, automatic email, if then email to case, then you don't have to choose this. You don't have to choose this. This if you have automated this using email to case and web to case. So phone call, usually when it comes, then you create a case. So when you manually create a case, you see you yourself become the case owner. If you want to change this owner to somebody like a other department person, then you go ahead and change that. Any questions so far? So case management is very important. There would be many questions which will come in your admin certification. We'll jump into the admin certification now. How to prepare yourself for that? Admin would be the easiest certification to go with. Apart from, sorry, go ahead.
Sorry to interrupt, sir. I have a question. Like in terms of, there will be multiple cases an organization will be having. Mm-hmm. So how like the Salesforce would segregate in terms like if I'm having an hard software problems, it should automatically get assigned to a particular user, or like if if that particular user is already having 3 of multiple cases already, so how then it did get reassigned to anyone else, like
I am not getting your point. So what is the like, channel of communication? First, let's define that.
So in case somebody has sent an email that he is having software problems in his like any of the products that he has got from the company.
Now the case can be created 2 ways. One is email to case, that is automatic creation on Salesforce. Another is that somebody is reading that email and he's creating the case manually here in Salesforce, right?
Yeah. So in terms of, I think it's through automatically how it gets reassigned to particular user.
Automatically, if it is getting assigned, then you have to use this one, assignment rule. So you can go and use the case type and do that. Here, if you are going for the assignment rule, you can use any of the fields of the case, right? So think about this. Maybe sort out a one. Criteria is, you see like subject line is automatically the case, right? Here.
Yeah.
And you say that contains. If the subject contains mobile, right? Then you will assign it to mobile queue. Yeah?
Yeah.
That's how you assign it.
So in this assignment also we can suppose if the case doesn't get solved within 1 hour or something, any sort
then escalation rule. Then assignment rule does not follow. Assignment rule is only when the case is getting created. Escalation rule is then used when the hours is getting passed. Once the case is created, after that assignment rules will make sure that the case is reassigned to appropriate people after some time. Okay.
Yes.
Escalation rule may or may not change owner. It might so happen that escalation rule will only notify his boss. It will not change the owner. It's up to you to decide. Okay. This is a step, you see. Escalate at 2 hours. After 2 hours, the email is getting sent to this person. You see, auto reassign case. I can reassign this case to other people or may not reassign. I just need to can just notify him. That's it. Clear? Escalation rule does not mean the owner will be changed. It can mean that you just simply notify your boss. You are still working on the case, but your boss now knows that there is already 2 hours get passed. So boss will come down to your place and he'll ask, what happened? So why do you need any kind of help? You can say, yes, sir, there is a problem. 2 hours has gone past. I am still not be able to process because technical team is facing some problem. Simple.
Another thing I would like to ask in terms of like now the companies are going for the to getting the solved service run time to get solved at the quickest minimal level. So like if there's a lot of service requests coming in from email to a case. So in that case, if one particular user is like having more than enough case, how would like it like you have to again like what sort of settings has to be done in order to minimize the runtime for each cases, so that there will be another team who will be working how is to ensure that one doesn't has too much, so that the cases get queued up.
No.
Do you have?
So depends. See, the idea of case assignment rule is that you are assigning the queues, the case to a queues. Ideally, you should be assigning to a queue, not to an individual person, because you are right, that person might be busy. So when you are assigning to a queue, in that case, the queue might have multiple users. It might be 20 people who are there in that queue. So whoever is freed, he will then go and pick up the case. Got it? There is some advanced mechanism in Salesforce called omni-channel, which is a different discussion, which pushes or notifies people when there is a new case which is coming your way. And that can be multiple channel. That can be from chat also. That can be from other areas also. Then it becomes, then you can set skill set, you can set busy, how much busy is that person, and then you can route the case. You can push the case to people. But that is an advanced topic. Here, we are discussing the simple solution is that assigning to a queue, and you pick up when you are free, you pick up the case. But if you want to push this to individual people and you want to decide who should get this case right away, in that case, then you have to set up omni-channel. That is an advanced topic. We are not discussing that. Okay. Not relevant for your admin. Salesforce is like a huge ocean, right? Whatever you're saying is just a tip of the iceberg. Service Cloud itself is so complicated. You can have telephony also. That means if you go with CTI integrations, now it is called Service Voice. You can go to the case is automatically created when somebody calls you. You don't have to manually create the case also. You just pick up the phone inside Salesforce. Immediately the case is created and it is completely filled with information. Those are features also which is there in Salesforce. Advanced topic, not for admin.
Okay.
Okay.
Yes.
So now we will talk about how to prepare yourself for the certification. So if you go to this and you say admin certification, this is the site through which you certify yourself, webassessor.salesforce.com. Here you have to create a new WebAssessor login. There is a form which you have to fill up. You can go ahead and fill up. Now, if you log into Salesforce, just like WebAssessor password you have created, in that case, you can go and register for your examination. Yeah, here administrator examination is there. You go and select this administrator examination here. This is advanced administrator, not needed. So this is the trailhead in which you can go and prepare yourself. If you want to register yourself, let me know. We can help you out with coupons, which can save a lot of money for you. Prepare for Salesforce credential. 3 trails you have to complete. Yeah, most of this trail you have already completed. Okay. So if you see prepare for Salesforce credential, you see admin beginner things. Apart from that, there is some study materials also. Go through that. Many of these trails has been already completed by you as part of the 3 trails which you have done already. But there are some more. Please complete that here. Then there is some basic admin certification preparation activities modules. These are like study material, and there is an interactive test. This is the exam, a mock test which you can sit and understand how prepared you are. When you think you have completed these 3, at that point I will send it this as part of your. Go ahead and finish these 3 trails. And when you are happy that you are ready for examination, you can let us know. If you do not have a credit card, you have to use a credit card to register yourself in WebAssessor. If you need any kind of help, you can reach out to me on the WhatsApp, and we can schedule multiple sessions. These 3 trails will not be sufficient for you to clear the exam. There should be additional guidance which we will be providing you, which will basically enable you for the certification. This 44 hours, this don't get panicked about it. This is most of this you have already done. There are a few 1 or 2 modules which you have to complete here. This small 2 hours module, complete it, and then give the exams. That's how you prepare for your IRP.
So in the process, and there will be a multiple choice questions, or like
this is multiple choice. Some questions might have multiple answers also. It is not a single answer. Okay. There are 2 ways of sitting for the exam. One is the on-site proctor. That means you go to an exam center and you give the exam. When you register yourself, you'll see a register button here. I have already done this exam. That's why it is not showing up for you. You will get a register button here. You can choose your date, time, and location. There are 1 or 2 locations which you can choose, which is near to your home, and can give that. Another is online proctor. This is sitting at home, but this is a little more complicated because it will ask, you must have a laptop camera, sit in the same room with the same lighting conditions, then only it will be able to recognize you. You have to install some software in your laptop so that the machine is completely taken full screen when you're giving the exam. You cannot tab out. So it's a little complicated for you. But if you are not getting any exam centers, then probably online. I will always suggest to go on-site proctored right now. It is easy. Just carry 2 government ID proofs and that's it. But if you are online proctored, then you are on your own. If your internet connection is bad, then you are doomed. Then you have to reschedule the exam once again. So a lot of problems are there. But many times in this COVID situation, many people are going for online proctor, particularly for the advanced people who have given or sat for online examination 1 or 2 times. They can go for online proctored. It is a little difficult way. It does not seem that you are at home. It is very easy. No, it is not. If you move your head too much, then also the exam might close. If your lighting conditions are not right or the same when you registered and when you are giving the exam, then it will not be able to recognize you and the exam will not start. So there are a lot of technical complexities associated with that. So I will always suggest to go to a center and give the exam.
Okay, sir.
Okay, so I hope now it is up to you guys to now run the race as fast as you can. The basics and the theories for the examination is already there for you. You need any extra sessions for things which you are not able to understand. Apart from the mentor will come back to me and say that there are some topics they need an advanced discussion because I am not able to handle that. In that case, I will set up calls as required. Yeah, we are there all the time. We are just stopping the theory classes because that's done. Now the preparation is from your end. The WhatsApp group continues, and we can now meet on demand. Okay, so whenever you are ready, we will meet, and there are a number of other people from other batches who are getting ready. So whoever is prepared well, we will pull them all together and get into other sessions for you to sit for the certification or job interviews. Okay. So that will end the official classes for batch 15. this recording will be uploaded shortly on the YouTube channel.